Hello the Willows. More stories today. I'm hoping for a picture book and then some more Treehorn. But it all depends on what is in the magic story sack. So let's have a look, shall we? See if I can squeeze my hand in. Ah, fantastic. 5 minutes piece. This is by Jill Murphy. I think she does the words and the illustrations. Let's have a look. It's a good one, this. It's about the Large family. The children were having breakfast. This was not a pleasant sight. Mrs. Large took a tray from the cupboard. She set it with a teapot, a milk jug, her favourite cup and saucer, a plate of marmalade toast and a leftover cake from yesterday. She stuffed the morning paper into her pocket and sneaked off towards the door. "Where are you going with that tray, Mum?" asked Laura. "To the bathroom," said Mrs. Large. "Why?" asked the other two children. "Because I want 5 minutes peace from you lot," said Mrs. Large. "That's why." "Can we come?" asked Lester as they trailed up the stairs behind her. "No," said Mrs. Large. "You can't." "Well, what shall we do then?" asked Laura. "You can play," said Mrs. Large, "downstairs by yourselves. Keep an eye on the baby." "Not a baby," muttered the little one. Mrs. Large ran a deep, hot bath. She emptied half a bottle of bath foam into the water, plonked on her bath hat and got in. She poured herself a cup of tea and lay back with her eyes closed. It was heaven. "Can I play you my tune?" asked Lester. Mrs. Large opened one eye. "Must you?" she asked. "I've been practising," said Lester. "You told me to. Can I, please, just for 1 minute?" "Go on then," sighed Mrs. Large. So Lester played. He played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star 3.5 times. In came Laura. "Can I read you a page from my reading book?" she asked. "No, Laura," said Mrs. Large. "Go on, all of you, off downstairs." "You let Lester play his tune," said Laura. "I heard you like him better than me. It's not fair." "Oh, don't be silly, Laura," said Mrs. Large. "Go on then, just one page." So Laura read. She read 4.5 pages of Little Red Riding Hood. In came the little one with a trunk full of toys. "For you," he beamed, flinging them all into the bathwater. "Thank you, dear," said Mrs. Large weakly. "Can I see the cartoons in the paper?" asked Laura. "Can I have the cake?" asked Lester. "Can I get in with you?" asked the little one. Mrs. Large groaned. In the end, they all got in. The little one was in such a hurry that he forgot to take off his pyjamas. Mrs. Large got out. She dried herself, put on her dressing gown and headed for the door. "Where are you going now, Mum?" asked Laura. "To the kitchen," said Mrs. Large. "Why?" asked Lester. "Because I want 5 minutes peace from you lot," said Mrs. Large. "That's why." And off she went downstairs, where she had 3 minutes and 45 seconds of peace before they all came to join her. Well, that's a little bit like what's going on at my house. I don't know if it's the same as yours. Have you got somewhere you can go for 5 minutes peace? I've got somewhere, but I'm not telling you in case somebody finds out. So let's see. I hope I've got Treehorn in here so we can read some more of the story. Let's just see what's in it. Ah, yeah, fabulous. We're back. Now then, a shout out to Year 5 who have been thinking of how the story could go. Lovely to see some of your stories and some of your videos as well. Absolutely amazing. Glad you enjoyed it. I should say, I said it was Florence Parry Hyde who wrote the story last time. The illustrations, the drawings it says here, are by somebody called Edward Gorey, who is a very unique sort of style he's got. It's quite old-fashioned. It's a little bit unsettling. He's an interesting man to look up, and I think his drawings quite suit the world of Treehorn, because I'm a bit concerned that Treehorn's shrinking, no one knows why, and no one seems that bothered. So let's find out what happens next. The next morning, Treehorn was still smaller. His regular clothes were much too big to wear. He rummaged around in his closet until he found some of last year's clothes. They were much too big too, but he put them on and rolled up the pants and rolled up the sleeves and went down to breakfast. Treehorn liked cereal for breakfast, but mostly he liked cereal boxes. He always read every single thing on the cereal box while he was eating breakfast, and he always sent in for the things the cereal box said he could send for. In a box in his closet, Treehorn saved all the things he had sent in for from cereal box tops. He had puzzles and special rings and flashlights and pictures of all the presidents and pictures of all the baseball players, and he had pictures of scenes suitable for framing, which he never framed because he didn't like them very much. He had all kinds of games and pens and models. Today on the cereal box was a very special offer of a very special whistle that only dogs could hear. Treehorn didn't have a dog, but he thought it would be nice to have a whistle that dogs could hear, even if he couldn't hear it. Even if dogs couldn't hear it, it would be nice to have a whistle, just to have it. He decided to eat all of the cereal in the box so he could send in this morning for the whistle. His mother never let him send in for anything until he had eaten all the cereal in the box. Treehorn filled in all of the blank spaces for his name and address, and then he went to get his money out of the piggy bank on the kitchen counter, but he couldn't reach it. Certainly am getting smaller, thought Treehorn. He climbed up on a chair and got the piggy bank and shook out a dime. His mother was cleaning the refrigerator. "Oh, you know I hate to have you climb up on the chairs, dear," she said. She went into the living room to dust. Treehorn put the piggy bank in the bottom kitchen drawer. That way I can get it no matter how little I get, he thought. He found an envelope and put a stamp on it, and put the dime and the box top in so he could mail the letter on the way to school. The mailbox was right next to the bus stop. It was hard to walk to the bus stop because his shoes kept slipping off, but he got there in plenty of time, shuffling. He couldn't reach the mailbox slot to put the letter in, so he handed the letter to one of his friends, Moshi, and asked him to put it in. Moshi put it in. "How come you can't mail it yourself, stupid?" asked Moshi. "Because I'm shrinking," explained Treehorn. "I'm shrinking and I'm too little to reach the mailbox." "That's a stupid thing to do," said Moshi. "You're always doing stupid things, but that's the stupidest." When Treehorn tried to get on the school bus, everyone was pushing and shoving. The bus driver said, "All the way back in the bus, step all the way back." Then he saw Treehorn trying to climb onto the bus. "Let that little kid on," said the bus driver. Treehorn was helped onto the bus. The bus driver said, "You can stay right up here next to me if you want to, because you're so little." "It's me, Treehorn," said Treehorn to his friend, the bus driver. The bus driver looked down at Treehorn. "You do look like Treehorn at that," he said. "Only smaller. Treehorn isn't that little." "I am Treehorn, I'm just getting smaller," said Treehorn. "Nobody gets smaller," said the bus driver. "You must be Treehorn's kid brother. What's your name?" "Treehorn," said Treehorn. "First time I've ever heard of a family naming two boys the same name," said the bus driver. "Guess they couldn't think of any other name once they thought of Treehorn." Treehorn said nothing. When he went into class, his teacher said, "Nursery school's down at the end of the hall, honey." "I'm Treehorn," said Treehorn. "If you're Treehorn, why are you so small?" asked the teacher. "Because I'm shrinking," said Treehorn. "I'm getting smaller." "Well, I'll let it go for today," said his teacher. "But see that it's taken care of before tomorrow we don't shrink in this class." After recess, Treehorn was thirsty, so he went down the hall to the water bubbler. He couldn't reach it, and he tried to jump up high enough. He still couldn't get a drink, but he kept jumping up and down, trying. His teacher walked by. "Why, Treehorn," she said, "this isn't like you jumping up and down in the hall. Just because you're shrinking, it doesn't mean you have special privileges. What if all the children in the school started jumping up and down in the halls? I'm afraid you'll have to go to the principal's office, Treehorn." So Treehorn went to the principal's office. "Supposed to see the principal," said Treehorn to the lady in the principal's outer office. "It's a very busy day," said the lady. "Please check here on this form the reason you have to see him. That will save time. Be sure to put your name down too. That will save time. And write clearly. That will save time." Treehorn looked at the form. "Check reason you have to see principal. That will save time. 1. Talking in class. 2. Chewing gum in class. 3. Talking back to teacher. 4. Unexcused absence. 5. Unexcused illness. 6. Unexcused behaviour." There were many things to check, but Treehorn couldn't find one that said, "being too small to reach the water bubbler." He finally wrote in, "shrinking." When the lady said he could see the principal, Treehorn went into the principal's office with his form. The principal looked at the form, and then he looked at Treehorn, and then he looked at the form again. I can't read this, said the principal. It looks like shirking. You're not shirking, are you, Treehorn? We can't have any shirkers here, you know. We're a team and we all have to do our very best. It says shrinking, says Treehorn. I'm shrinking. Shrinking, eh? Said the principal. Well, now, I'm very sorry to hear that, Treehorn. You were right to come to me. That's what I'm here for. To guide, not to punish, but to guide. To guide all the members of my team to solve all their problems. I don't have any problems, said Treehorn. I'm just shrinking. Well, I want you to know I'm right here when you need me, Treehorn, said the principal, and I'm glad I was here to help you. A team is only as good as its coach, eh? The principal stood up. Goodbye, Treehorn. If you have any more problems, come straight to me and I'll help you again. A problem isn't a problem once it's solved, right? By the end of the day, Treehorn was still smaller. At the dinner table that night, he sat on several cushions so he could be high enough to see over the top of the table. He's still shrinking, sniffed Treehorn's mother. Heaven knows I've tried to be a good mother. Maybe we should call a doctor, said Treehorn's father. I did, said Treehorn's mother. I called every doctor in the yellow pages, but no one knew anything about shrinking problems. She sniffed again. Maybe he'll just keep getting smaller and smaller until he disappears. No one disappears, said Treehorn's father positively. That's right, they don't, said Treehorn's mother more cheerfully. But no one shrinks either, she said after a moment. Finish your carrots, Treehorn. And I think we'll leave our friend Treehorn there. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a bit worried about him. Because it seems everyone he talks to isn't concerned at all about this shrinking issue. And I actually think it's a bit of a worry. So I think it's up to Treehorn himself to find a solution. So hopefully we shall see what happens next time.